You wake up feeling normal, and your blood sugar can still test normal, while your body is already slipping into trouble. Before diabetes, the first red flags aren't numbers, they're signals. Cravings that get louder, crashes that hit faster, and hunger that feels urgent. In the US, tens of millions of adults have prediabetes, and most have no idea because the body can fake fine for years. Behind the scenes, insulin starts working overtime, like a thermostat you keep cranking higher just to stay comfortable. Keep pushing like that, and your liver, muscles, and appetite drift out of sync until your days start feeling unpredictable. In the next few minutes, I'll show you the earliest blood sugar signals that change first, so you catch it before a diagnosis does. That normal reading can be a disguise, because your signals shift before your numbers do. Clinically, it's insulin resistance. Cells respond less, so your pancreas releases more insulin to keep glucose controlled. The thermostat keeps rising. Prediabetes can have no obvious symptoms, but you may notice harder crashes after meals, louder cravings, and foggier focus. Next, we'll hit the first few days after you drop sugary drinks and constant snacking, and the quick wins that prove the system is already changing. Years before diabetes ever shows up, your blood sugar signals usually don't look dramatic. They look normal, but they feel expensive. Your muscle, fat, and liver cells respond a little less to insulin, so your pancreas quietly covers the gap by releasing more insulin to keep glucose controlled. That's insulin resistance in plain English. The message still gets delivered, but the messenger has to shout. The sneaky part is that prediabetes can have no obvious symptoms, so the body can fake fine for a long time. The CDC estimates about 98 million US adults have prediabetes, and about 81% don't know it. Meanwhile, the thermostat is still holding the room at 72 degrees, except you keep cranking the dial higher behind the wall and acting like nothing's happening. Months before diabetes appears, the first wobble often shows up after meals because eating is a test you take multiple times a day. If insulin is already working overtime, your post-meal glucose can rise higher, linger longer, and then the crash shows up like a dramatic coworker, loud, urgent, and always scheduled right when you need to function. That's when signals leak into real life, cravings that get louder, a post-lunch slump that feels personal, and hunger that pops up like an emergency alert. People don't say, "My postprandial glycemia is elevated." They say, "Why am I starving again?" Or, "Why do I need something sweet right now?" As that loop repeats, the liver becomes the chaotic roommate in the background. Normally, it releases glucose between meals and overnight so your brain stays online, and insulin helps tell it when to ease off. With hepatic insulin resistance, the liver doesn't hear that message as well, so it may keep producing glucose when it should be dialing it down. One reason fasting numbers tend to creep up later. Translation: it's not only what you ate, it's also what your liver is making when you're not eating, especially if sleep is short and stress is high. Now the good part: what happens to your blood sugar signals when you interrupt this, before diabetes appears, can show up fast. In the first 72 hours, the goal isn't perfection, it's lowering the constant noise. Start with the biggest spike makers that sneak under the radar: sugary drinks, sweet coffees, juice, energy drinks, and the just a little dessert that mysteriously happens daily. Then create clean breaks between meals so insulin can actually come down instead of staying on duty 24/7, because grazing is basically keeping the thermostat stuck on high. This first stretch can feel rude. Hunger shows up early, your mood gets spicy, and your brain starts bargaining like, "What if we just lick the frosting?" That doesn't mean you're failing. It usually means the old loop is losing power. Week 1 is where you can stack unfair advantages without turning your life into a wellness documentary. The simplest one is moving after you eat. A systematic review and meta-analysis in sports medicine found that exercise done before or after meals reduces post-meal glucose excursions compared with staying sedentary. In human terms, walking is a bouncer that helps glucose get into muscle before it throws a party in your bloodstream. You don't need a marathon, Even a short 10 to 20-minute walk after your biggest meal can blunt the spike and make the later crash less dramatic. If you want a simple scorecard, watch your afternoon energy, your late-night cravings, and how long you can go between meals without getting hangry. Those are the early receipts, and they often change before the scale decides to cooperate. Less drama is progress. Weeks 2 to 4 is when the signals start feeling less like a chaotic group chat. Physical activity has carryover benefits. A BMJ Open Sport and Exercise Medicine review notes the acute effect of a single exercise bout on insulin sensitivity can be evident for up to about 72 hours. That means you're not starting from zero every morning. Your body keeps some progress in the bank. During this window, many people notice cravings get quieter and hunger becomes more honest. Lunch to dinner suddenly feels possible without turning into a feral snack seeker. Weeks 4 to 8 is where the domino effect hits the stuff you actually notice. Steadier mornings, better workouts, and clothes that start telling the truth. Strength training matters because muscle is storage space for glucose. More room means less overflow and less insulin needed for the same meal. Pair that with post-meal walks and you turn your body into a better glucose sink. Protect sleep like it's part of the plan, because it is. Short sleep and chronic stress can make appetite signals louder and make the liver more trigger-happy overnight. By months 2 to 3, the lab work finally catches up with what your day-to-day life has been showing you. The A1C test reflects your average blood glucose over roughly the past 3 months, so it's designed to be late to the party, more highlight reel than snapshot. But when daily peaks and crashes soften, the average often improves too. And the long-term payoff is real. The Diabetes Prevention Program showed that a structured lifestyle intervention, aiming for about 5 to 7% weight loss and at least 150 minutes per week of brisk walk-level activity, reduced progression to type 2 diabetes by about 58% in high-risk adults. Quick reality check. Crash diets are the fastest way to make this thermostat freak out. Extreme restriction can wreck sleep, spike stress, and boomerang cravings, which is basically handing that chaotic group chat a megaphone. Keep it repeatable. Cut liquid sugar, stop grazing, walk after meals, lift a couple times a week, and guard your sleep. And if you're on glucose-lowering meds, or you've had low blood sugar episodes, make changes with your clinician in the loop. Before diabetes appears, your blood sugar doesn't usually scream. It whispers through your cravings, your crashes, and your foggy focus. Those are signals, not flaws, and you can start changing them this week. Cut the liquid sugar. Stop the all-day snacking. Walk after meals like it's your daily spike buster. Lift a couple times a week so your muscles have somewhere to park glucose. Sleep like it's part of the prescription, because it is. Give it a few consistent weeks and the thermostat starts coming down. Drop a comment with the first signal you noticed, crashes, cravings, or restless sleep, and I'll tell you what it usually means. And if you want the next video on lowering post-meal spikes fast without living on salads, hit like, subscribe, and share this with one friend who needs the wake-up call.